everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of the Social Liability Podcast, the podcast where two middle-aged men complain about the people that violate the social contracts that we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co-host, the Buck Grundle, bringing you episode 31 entitled Eclectic Liabilities, because quite frankly, usually we have some kind of recurring theme with all the stories that we cover. There just wasn't one. I couldn't even... We sat here and racked our brains and tried to think of something that all these stories had in common, and there's absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing.
Nothing. Not a single one, man.
Other than the fact that they're all social liabilities. There's
right.
That. And
there is that.
Yeah. And, you know, before the podcast started, we ended up looking like a couple of monkeys fucking a football because... we started it, you know, had put all that on social media. Hey, we're doing a live recording over on Raz's Twitch channel. Boom. And then right as we went to actually start, hit the record button, everything went to shit. So I ended up having to rebuild our environment all over again. And so we're starting a little bit late. And if you actually were in here for the original part when we went live, I apologize. But here we are now. And if you're listening to the audio version, just ignore all this shit because it doesn't matter to you anyway. It doesn't pertain. What are you giggling at?
You. Every time, man. For context, Raz and I have known each other for 15 years. All right, and Raz and I met each other while working in a prison. So
life on the installment plan, folks.
So when Raz gets frustrated, it is the evolution of it's the evolution of anger. And you know, when it happened this time, there was a brief moment where I was actually afraid, and then I realized I was like, I can just sit back and actually like Discovery Channel Raz. Like I can look at this and be like, Now, the only thing is that you're never going to be a part of a scientific study. You will always be the anomaly. And here's why.
Oh, do tell, you son of a bitch. Go ahead.
Believe me, I'm getting there. Professor Buck is about ready to do his PhD in Raz. All right. So most people, when they get angry, they go through, like, you know, if you were to chart this on a graph, there'd be like an incline. You know, sometimes it's a sharp spike, damn near vertical, you know, whatever. But there's always a line representing from point A to point B. Whereas with Raz, this does not exist. He is stuck somewhere in like his own universe. Because when Raz gets angry, it's everything is fine. Seas are sailing, and then boom, you look out your window, and there's a 100-foot tidal wave, and you're like, where the fuck did this come from? It's just, Raz's whole persona just disappears from this part of the graph, and boom, right up here, like, there's not even a part where you can chart this. Raz becomes as unpredictable as a baboon.
Fuck you, asshole.
No, you're like a baboon with a chainsaw. You're like, fuck. You have no idea where it's going to go. And if you're right there for it, you're just like, collateral damage. If I die on the job, life insurance triples, I'm okay. But no, I'm here in the comfort of my own home, watching you from, like, I feel like this is what people on the ISS must feel like when they look at the Earth from up in space. I'm like, yes. So it was very entertaining. Like, I absolutely enjoyed, you know, the comedic fuckaloo that was trying to get us to record today, and I just loved it. I'll probably laugh in my sleep later about it.
Fuck you. That was frustrating as shit, man. You have no idea. And you know what? This is a podcast not about technology, not about streaming. But as a streamer, I want to tell you this: OBS Studios, great software, love it. Open source, even better. If anybody out there is working on OBS Studios, Make it so that you can't delete a goddamn scene by accident. Goddamn. This isn't even the first fucking time it's happened. My entire environment just up and freaking vanished. And there's not even an undo button, motherfucker. It's just boom, gone. Fuck.
I could live 1,000 terrible lifetimes with 1,000 terrible days. But as long as all of them involve seeing that whole thing unfold every time, I'll be okay with it.
Fuck you. Let's get into this. I want to get into this. All right.
Baboon with a chainsaw.
All right. First story. Reported by the Huffington Post. McDonald's selling Spam Burger topped with Oreo cookie crumbs in China. Does that sound the least bit appealing to you?
No, but I would eat it.
This has been reported by the Associated...
I'd take a bite.
Go ahead.
If somebody gave it to me for free, I'd fucking eat it. That's all there is to it. Would I pay for it? No. Does it sound appealing? No.
The Associated Press out of Beijing. McDonald's is selling a sandwich made of Spam topped with crusted Oreo cookies Monday in China in an attention-grabbing move that is raising eyebrows. No shit. Grand brands from restaurants to automakers sometimes roll out offbeat products to appeal to Chinese taste in the populous and intensely competitive market. I'm not sure you're appealing to anybody's taste in that, my friend.
Yeah, there's something wrong in that camp. Like,
you know, it's funny because last week we talked about me going to the night market in Beijing. And on our way to the night market, I actually went to a McDonald's, and it's almost exactly the same. It really is. It's almost exactly the same as as it is here, with the one exception is they have fried chicken on the menu also, and it is horrible. The fried chicken is atrocious. Don't get the fried chicken. I thought it was
all right. That's that just highlighting that tips for you traveling across the globe. If you go to Latin America, do not drink the water, and if you are in Asia, do not eat fried chicken from McDonald's. Correct. Okay.
I thought it was delicious, said a comment signed Fei Fei Mao, enthusiast of the Xin Weibo microblog service. I say the goddamn Chinese name right, but I can't say microblog service. God dang it. Is that because I love McDonald's too deeply? Or is it something wrong with my taste? Yes. Yes to both. The sandwich is made of 2 slices of Spam, a product of Hormel Foods, LLC, and Mondelez International's Oreo cookies topped with mayonnaise. Oh, I think I might throw up my mouth a little bit. McDonald's Corporation says the sandwich was part of a series of members-only promotions to be released on Mondays in China. There is no need to release unnecessary products, said a comment left on the company's microblog account. It received more than 2,000 likes. McDonald's says it plans to sell more than 400,000 of the lunch meat burgers. It wasn't clear how many have been sold or how many people have flooded social media with scathing comments that I've eaten one. When you hate someone but have to invite them to dinner, you can ask him to eat McDonald's Oreo lunch meat burger, said a separate comment.
I'm going to amend my previous remark. If you gave that to me for free, I'd throw it away and not fucking hit you. Like, that's...
I like Spam.
Members only club. That ain't club. You will not see my name on that roster. And 2,000 likes. Man, China controls everything. They got 2,000 people at gunpoint and said, "You better."
Oh no! It's 2,000 likes for why would you create something that nobody wants?
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. The only reason there's 2,000 is because it's the people that weren't at gunpoint saying you better not.
Okay, first and foremost, I like Spam. I like Spam a lot, actually.
Love Spam.
I love Spam. It's a great product. I actually make a nice Spam and rice stir fry about once every other week. Spam's great. Oreos. God, I love Oreos. Oreos in a glass of milk. I'm a happy dude. Mayonnaise. I like mayonnaise. I mean, I put it on my burgers. I know you don't. Lord knows you don't. But
Oh no.
I cannot imagine a world where I'd think to myself, because that's what I call myself, that would be a delightful combination. I must partake in this. No. I'm sorry. I don't think so. Yeah, I can. That just sounds horrible. In more ways than one. It's just, oh God. Yeah.
It's like, oh, all these ingredients on their own are just fine. You know, Spam, just fine. Oreos, just fine. Mayonnaise, to some people, just fine. You know? And then on the other table, it's like, all these ingredients are just fine, too. And you combine them and you get fucking C4. All right? Like...
It's like the only thing I can think of as bad is like Jello and hot sauce, you know?
It's like, why would you, like, there are certain things that, yeah, you create them in order to destroy things and you have to. But that is just, that should be like on the Geneva Convention Pact. Like,
I'll do you one better.
I mean, like,
I'll do you one better. Think about this. Someone got paid to come up with that. Yeah.
That's what they serve people in prison camps. Like, people in the gulag were like, not that.
Hey, you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit? Food loaf.
I already have.
Food loaf.
I didn't mind food loaf.
Oh. So for our listeners, can you describe food loaf?
Food loaf is everything baked into a bread.
Well,
like literally everything.
What was the purpose of food loaf? What was the purpose of food loaf?
Food loaf is if you were disciplinary challenged or risk to yourself or the safety of others or the security of the institution, whatever, the myriad of reasons. But
it was never actually supposed to be used. It was never supposed to be a disciplinary thing, but it was.
Right. So I will amend that. Well, not amend it, but thank you for clarifying, Raz. But we would give you food loaf in lieu of your prison meal. Yeah, instead of getting 3 hots and a cot,
you got a loaf.
You got a loaf, and that was it. Like there was a cell in our jail where you didn't even get a fucking toilet, and it was 3 sides. Well, 2 sides.
2 sides of her glass.
2 sides of her glass.
Yeah.
Like, it was a fishbowl.
Yeah, we called it the fish tank. And food loaf was whatever was on the meal, for that day, put into a blender and then added Bisquick. That's what it was. It was Bisquick. And it was a giant pancake full of whatever was on the menu for that day. And I can think that food loaf sounds more appealing than this goddamn sandwich.
I would buy food loaf before I would take that for free. Like,
fair enough.
That's about as far as we can go.
Fair enough. So here's, when we go through our stories and we decide what we're going to use, every once in a while one jumps out at me and I say to myself, that one is going to be on the show. Without a doubt. And there's actually audio with this one, and I think it's better to listen to the audio. This is being put out by NPR, and it's titled Octopuses Punch Fish, Sometimes for No Apparent Reason. So let's go ahead and listen to this for just a moment. It's going to be about a 1 minute long clip.
So what does an octopus do with its 8 arms? Well, that is a question that's been interesting scientists. 2 years ago, Eduardo Sampaio was studying octopuses off the coast of Israel, and he saw something surprising.
We saw one of them punch a fish.
That's right. He saw an octopus curl up a tentacle, then punch a nearby fish.
I just laughed out loud like...
I'm going to stop it for a second. I love how this guy with an Israeli accent's like, we watched it punch a fish. Keep going.
like underwater, and I almost choked on my regulator.
Sampaio is a PhD student at the University of Lisbon. He and a team of scientists work to record the rare phenomenon.
And this month they have published their findings in the journal Ecology. Sampaio says the movements are just too deliberate to be accidental jabs.
The movements are just too deliberate to be accidental. I mean, they're saying it's a rare phenomenon, but apparently he's watching this multiple times, so it can't be that rare. I think he just found an asshole octopus. Let's go ahead and finish this.
See, there some punches are like almost like a small boop, and other ones that even the whole arm curls up and uncurls afterwards, like the motion of a boxer doing a punch.
He says there are good reasons an octopus might want to knock some sense into a nearby fish, such as preventing the fish from taking prey away from the octopus.
The other possibility is that it could be punishment.
Sampaio says this work brings up more questions than it answers, and that includes...
Is there a species that the octopus prefers to punch?
Or another big question I have, could I take an octopus on in a fight?
This dude's a PhD, and we went to do research to find out if there's a particular kind of fish the octopus likes to punch. I mean, it could be a territorial thing, or it might just be this octopus is an asshole.
Well, interesting fact about our aquatic ally, the octopus, is that if you were to, hey, you know what? They've never done me wrong. They're my ally. But
go on.
If you were to ever come across a group of them, they would be called a consortium. That is the
consortium of octopi.
It is a consortium of octopi, like a herd of cattle, or a pack of wolves, or a parliament of owls.
Thank God
you were flamboyance of flamingos.
Are you done? Are you done? Look like you're done. Thank God you were here for the impart this piece of information upon us. I don't know how I would have got through the rest of my life without knowing that.
Did you know that Johnny Appleseed only planted apples in order to make alcohol?
Did you know Johnny Appleseed wasn't a real person?
Actually, he was.
He was not.
Yes, he was.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
Do you want me to show you to you in textbooks? Because I can do that, just like I ruined David Copperfield for you.
That's okay. I can show it to you. I can show it to you on the internet.
Oh, thank God, Wikipedia.
No, man, I use credible sources. It's wikipedia.org.
Oh. Let me guess, you've already denounced your citizenship and got citizenship at Sealand.
No.
Why not?
No.
That sounds awesome. Just like I'm going to pay $50 for a 1 foot by 1 foot section of sod in Ireland so I can become a lord.
No, I heard that there are no accidents in SeaWorld. Dolphins do that shit on purpose.
I said Sealand, not SeaWorld, you ignorant boob. Oh, God.
Ever.
Well, that's our first horn of the day for Buck, which, is a tradition here on the Social Liability Podcast. But also another tradition is that of the Florida Man.
Florida man, does whatever the fuck he can. Makes headlines every time. Florida's paradigm. Look out! Here comes Florida man.
Florida man dressed as Santa gets stuck in power lines. Again, by the Huffington Post. This is great. Rio Linda, California. Santa found himself a little more tied up than usual this time of year. A Northern California man impersonating Santa Claus and flying on a powered parachute was rescued Sunday after he became entangled in power lines, authorities said. The incident happened shortly after the man took off near a school in Rio Linda to deliver candy canes to children in his community. He flew into a maze of power lines and wound up suspended in them, as told by a Federal Aviation Administration spokesman. The man, who wasn't identified, was not injured. Video from the rescue shows that the red, white, and blue aircraft dangling overhead as Santa sat fastened in the pilot's seat. Neighbors watched from the ground as crews worked. Colleen Bolzman, maybe? Sure. Who lives nearby, said the pilot flies overhead often. He flies around so people can see, and he flies around people's houses. This was the first time he was in a full Santa suit. Power was shut off during the rescue to about 200 customers in Rio Linda. According to a Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District spokesman, it is unfortunate, but we all need to remember there's a lot of good out there in the world. There are people doing good things, and to look at the brightness of the holiday season. He said it didn't take long to rescue the costume pilot and to lower him to safety. Without a scratch and full of good cheer, we made sure old Saint Nick will use his reindeer when he sees you later this year. The fire department spokesman said in a tweet after the incident. This obviously was back on the 22nd, but we just now popped up on our little radar. But okay, so the kids walk outside, and there's Santa Claus hanging from the power lines. Oh, I mean, you have to have like a plausible explanation for the suspension of disbelief ready for when the kids encounter such things. But how do you explain Santa Claus hanging from the power lines? I really don't. I'm glad I wasn't in that situation to have to try to explain it to my children.
Oh, bullshit, Raz. Bullshit. You just went, no, that fat fucker fell. you just turn your boys around 180 and usher them right back indoors, and then come out and yell deplorable things at that bastard after you found out whether or not he was okay, because you're not going to waste your breath yelling at a corpse. But
you think I'm yelling horrible things and I'm not just pointing and laughing at this guy and making fun of him? Because that sounds more like me.
Well, after you start bastardizing him for jeopardizing the belief in Santa, like, you son of a bitch, you realize what you almost did? Like, I could see, especially if Sadar got involved.
No.
Not
a chance. Not a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Not a chance.
She'd be holding you back.
No. Dude, no. Because in all reality, if we stop and think about this for a second, this guy, well, one, when you read the article, he's actually violating a number of FAA regulations. But his process was, the thought process was altruistic in a way. He wanted to fly around dressed as Santa and drop candy canes and stuff to kids. That's awesome. I think that's cool. FAA regulations strictly prohibit you from dropping anything while in flight without a number of special permits. It would take about 3 months to get. I know this because I'm studying for an FAA exam right now, and it is horrible. But, I mean, the guy was trying to do something good. He wasn't trying to be a douche, and he just had bad luck. I mean, what else? You really think that I would go out there and be like, you son of a bitch? No.
Of course not. Of course not. But you know what? Thanks for, not hamming up the radio persona, I guess. Nobody really knows us. You really just shat. You know what I said in a different episode? Anybody who thought that a submarine did not have a standard screen door never, ever, ever knew you. Like, you are the screen door on my submarine.
Anything for you, buddy. Okay, so we go from Santa hanging in the power lines. That was actually, I played the wrong audio clip because I said that that was our Florida Man story, and it wasn't, and that's just entirely my fault because I wasn't paying attention. The Florida Man story is actually now. That was the California Man story because apparently I can't fucking read, but we've already established that. I've got a note. This one's coming out of South Florida. Florida man lands in jail after using fire extinguisher to dry off. I I'd love to know the logic behind this. I haven't read the story yet, but I'm color me intrigued.
I am too. I just don't see how that could ever even conceivably come as a good idea into somebody's head. Like, ever. Not even once. But whatever. Go ahead, read on.
A Florida man who...
I'm on guard.
A Florida man who wasn't on fire was arrested Tuesday night after police say he sprayed himself with a fire extinguisher in an attempt to dry himself off. Florida State University police found David Mann, 54, on the top floor of the parking garage with a fire extinguisher and covered in powder, the Tallahassee Democrat reported. Let me just point something out, that almost every one of our stories that we cover, they have somebody with a fucked up name that I can't pronounce. Except the Florida Man stories. The Florida Man stories are... This dude is David Mann. I love it. We should just do Florida Man stories because I can actually pronounce them. But I digress. Mann told police he had been drinking and fell asleep and fell in the water when he woke up. He said he was using the fire extinguisher to try and dry himself off. In what world do you think that a fire extinguisher would dry anything?
Like, what is he thinking? That is just blowing out air? Like,
well,
there's nothing in there with it?
So most ABC fire extinguishers, which are the most common out there, have a fire retardant powder in there that deprives the fire of oxygen, and that is what extinguishes it. It smells horrible. It's like a chalk. And it's disgusting. And it leaves a taste in your mouth, and it's horrible. Most people that don't know how a fire extinguisher works would think there's fucking water in it. They wouldn't... It's not a flamethrower. It's like the guy thought it was a fire inducer, not a fire extinguisher. I can't figure that out. I just can't.
But to dry off, like... What world would you live in where, why would you think that dry and fire extinguisher would belong in the same, word tree? Dry, fire extinguisher. Like, when you put out a fire, traditionally, like when you're 5 years old and you're like, I got to put out a fire, what do I grab? Bucket of water. If it's got a fire extinguisher, 5-year-old logic would be like, oh, well, that's got to have something wet in there to put out the fire. Why would your logic train even go to fire extinguisher equals drying off?
I don't know, but
that's just Florida Man.
Florida Man was charged with interfering with firefighter equipment, a third-degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison.
Fuck yeah.
Man was held at the Leon County Jail Wednesday night. Jail records do not list a lawyer for him. Okay, so interfering with firefighter equipment, a third-degree felony. Holy shit. They don't fuck around in Florida when it comes to fires, man.
Apparently not.
Oh. So, we go from the stupid to the asinine. This is being put out by NBC News. A Wisconsin hospital employee fired and arrested after intentionally destroying 500 doses of the COVID vaccine. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I heard a little bit about this, and then I heard there was a second story. The first story put out there that it was accidental. And then the second story came out that it was on purpose. And that's where we pick up with this one. So let me just start. A Wisconsin hospital employee has been fired and arrested after removing dozens of vials of the coronavirus vaccine from the pharmacy refrigerator, intentionally destroying more than 500 doses, a hospital investigation found. The incident happened over the weekend at Aurora Medical Center in Grafton, north of Milwaukee. Grafton police announced the arrest of the pharmacist Thursday, but did not name the man or identify a motive. Police said in a statement they arrested the former employee on suspicion of recklessly endangering safety, adulterating a prescription drug, and criminal damage to property. The damage he caused was estimated to be between $8,000 and $11,000. Initially, it appeared that the 57 vials of the Moderna vaccine, which must be kept between 36 and 46 degrees Fahrenheit, had been left overnight accidentally, hospital officials said. Each vial holds approximately 10 doses of the vaccine. But Wednesday, the Aurora Medical Center announced the hospital worker involved acknowledged they had intentionally removed the vaccine from refrigeration. Okie dokie. So here comes a knowledge you didn't want, and I'm going to give it to you anyway. The two different kinds of vaccines. There's the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine is the more problematic one in that it has to be kept in a super, super cold freezer and can be taken out, and they have a very limited amount of time once it comes up to temperature to use it, or it's no good, and it can't be refrozen. So in most communities that are receiving the Pfizer vaccine, they're having scheduled appointments for them with backup people on a list to report to the vaccination site within 30 minutes of a call in the event that somebody is unable to receive it or they don't show up. The Moderna vaccine, that's actually the better one for distribution purposes, whereas the Pfizer vaccine has about a 96 to 97% efficacy rate. The Moderna vaccine has between 94 and 95% efficacy rate. So it's not as quote-unquote as good by a very small percentage, but it's much easier to get out there. And it can be out for a longer period of time. It can actually be out for up to a week, is my understanding. So the fact that this was left out overnight, it almost seems like there had to have been something more involved than just it being just out of the refrigerator. Because it doesn't have to be in a freezer if it's the Moderna. It can actually be stored in a regular refrigerator after it's thawed out. Now, that might be where it is, now that I'm saying it out loud. The fact that it was just left on the counter as opposed to put in the refrigerator, that's probably where it comes in. But why the flying fuck would you do this?
Yeah, that's after everything's said and done, like, what was the purpose?
Okay, say you're anti-vaccination.
This whole fuckaloo.
Say you're anti-vaccination. What gives you the right to try to dictate what other people's choices in life are?
Right.
None.
Exactly. None.
I don't give a flying fuck what you're into and what you do. As long as it doesn't harm me or anybody else, I don't care. Do your thing. Whatever. I can have my own personal thought processes about you. But if you are going out of your way just to be a cunt, I'm kind of at a loss as to what to say about this.
The thing is that, there's even like the side, well, maybe they got religious reasons or whatever. Again, there's nothing about anything that makes it okay for someone else to make a choice on my behalf, and vice versa. I would never make a choice on someone else's behalf. Barring that of being like a parent or whatever, but like I would never look at you and be like, no,
I can't let you do this.
That's no good for you, Raz. No, I'm not gonna let you.
So here's another point about this. You all right?
Yeah.
You could have told me to mute, but you didn't. I see how it is. So here's my whole thing. People that are anti-vaccination, they are very, very adamant that nobody should tell them what they have to do. That the government's not going to tell me what I have to put in my body. So if this is the case and you are so adamant that someone's not going to tell you what to do and what you should put in your body, who the fuck are you to tell somebody what they shouldn't put in their body? If you're so important that you can't, that you feel that nothing should control you, where the fuck do you get off trying to control other people?
Right. That's just wrong on so many levels. But I mean, like, does it say anything more in the article about why she did it, or?
There's more to the article, but I don't think it actually says. But let me look here. We continue to believe the vaccination is our way out of the pandemic. We are more than disappointed. No shit. This is a violation of our core values. The Moderna vaccine has a 12-hour window once it has been thawed. Most doses of the vaccine have been left out of the hospital refrigerator had to be discarded, although hospital officials later decided they could salvage some. After the hospital administered more than 50 doses of the vaccine that had been thawed, it learned the shots that actually had been thawed twice rendered them ineffective, a hospital official said Thursday at a press conference. The hospital said that all those who received an ineffective vaccine have been notified, and those individuals are not at risk. News of the spoiled vaccine doses in Wisconsin came as the United States struggles to meet goals for vaccination. So far, only about 2.8 million people have been vaccinated, far short of the 20 million the Trump administration held for its hoped to have by year's end. The vaccine is not yet widely available, and healthcare workers and nursing home residents have priority for the first doses. On Wednesday, Advocate Aurora Health, the health system that Aurora Medical is part of, said it has vaccinated more than 21,000 healthcare workers so far. The pharmacist is currently being held at Ozuka County Jail. So they said at the beginning of the article that they weren't releasing the name or if there was a motive, but I'm just kind of disgusted by the whole thing.
That really is.
Let me rephrase that. I'm not kind. I am very disgusted by the whole thing, because the vaccine is not. It's not widely available right now. For my work, I deal with this on a daily basis, and I have to update my numbers for the way our COVID numbers are where I work and where I live, and currently we are number 4 in the nation for infections and spread rates and everything else, and number 1 for not giving a flying fuck because political reasons. And like our governor decided that we don't need masks. We need a national day of prayer. You can do both, dude.
Are you shit?
You can do both.
Are you shitting me?
No.
A national day of prayer.
Yeah. That was
as opposed to a mask.
As opposed to a mask ordinance. Luckily, my community is a little bit smarter than the rest and has decided to enact a mask ordinance. However, it's a one spot in a big freaking area, and people don't listen. But we could go on and on about the what people feel is valid and what's invalid. I think it's pretty obvious where I stand on there, and just because I'm maybe counter to somebody else's opinion doesn't mean I think they're stupid. It doesn't mean I think any less of them. I just don't think that anybody should be impressing upon themselves that is an advocate for non-interference from the government to try and interfere themselves and think they're proving a point.
Yeah, I mean, just this kind of gross disregard for other people. So what? You don't like the vaccine. You don't like it. You individually. Well, don't stick out your arm and get stuck. That's it.
Fair enough.
That's it. That's as far as it can go. That is as far as it can go. That anything else, you are absolutely just a despicable human being. And like you said, in the article, 2.5 million people up to date have been vaccinated. So getting rid of 500 fucking doses, that's not chump change. That is not chump change. 500 doses out of 2.5 million? Like, that's a real fuckaloo. That's just all I can say about that.
Well, let's go from sad and disheartening to just kooky and weird. This is being reported by the Pigeon Express. A Mexico tunnel affair. Man builds secret underground pathway to lover's house and gets busted. A man in Mexico constructed a tunnel that was joined to his lover's home from his home Monday, but eventually got caught. All was going well for the couple, who were neighbors living in Mexico's Villa del Puerto neighborhood. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Prado? Prado. Villa de Prado?
Prado.
Villa de Prado. Via del Prado.
Yeah.
Okay.
Via del Prado.
I actually sound Italian when I'm saying it. I don't know why. The lovers were named Pamela and Alberto, according to the local press, and their homes are in the Tijuana city. However, their secret love tunnel ended when the husband of the man's lover discovered the tunnel right beneath the couch in his home.
Wow.
That's some fucking brazen shit right there. The two got caught.
Wow.
The two got caught in the act by Pamela's husband Jorge, who came home from work early one day. The husband was able to spot Alberto behind the couch after failing to find him under the bed. However, Jorge's suspension went further high when Alberto disappeared from behind the couch. The husband discovered a hole in the floor behind the couch. Jorge decided to go to the bottom of this thing by going into the tunnel. It led Jorge to the lover's tunnel, which Alberto had been using to meet Pamela. This made Jorge furious, who entered Alberto's home and started shouting when the latter's wife was sleeping. Reportedly, the cheating husband tried to plead with Jorge to leave because he did not want his wife to know that he was having the affair with Pamela.
Wow. Wow.
However, an angry Jorge refused to leave Alberto's home and spilled the beans in front of the latter's wife. This led to a fight between the two men in Alberto's home. Finally, police had to intervene and stop the fight by taking Alberto away. This sounds like a really bad telenovela.
No, man, but down in Mexico, that shit really happens. I mean, like, well, I mean, like that. I don't think they, but fights like that and domestic disputes, they happen like that down there. And I can only imagine the police officers, because down in Mexico, at least 20 years ago, you know, all the police officers on the SWAT team would ride around in the backs of pickup trucks. They'd have like catcher's gear on. I mean, like legit freaking riot police officers. And they all had really, you know, pretty jovial senses of humor. And so I can only imagine like 3 or 4 pickup trucks full of these guys just pulling up and being like, just like starting to chortle or like going down the tunnel and like taking notes. Like, I was wondering how that was done. Okay, yes. You know, I can only imagine like this, like you said, it's like a bad novella. And it's just,
I just love the fact that the dude, you know, is running from his lover's husband, goes back to through the tunnel back to his house, and while he's there, the guy follows him up, and he's like, "Don't tell my wife."
Yeah. No. I can still get away with this over here. Like, you busted me, but like, can't blame the guy for trying.
Yeah, I mean, I was boning your wife, and I know you're upset, but can we not tell my wife?
It's like, yeah, you know, you don't owe me any favors, but can't shame a guy for asking.
Oh man, I mean,
and that's when Raz realized that he fucked up.
No, I don't play that game, but
no, you don't.
I do remember an individual we knew who came into his house and found that he had been dating a coworker, and when he came home from a shift one night because he thought he was mandated and he got out of the shift, to find another coworker dick deep in his girl, and he just went out and sat on the couch and waited for them to finish because he thought it'd be rude to interrupt. I cannot imagine somebody not having the same reaction as the gentleman in our first story, except for the fact that I've known that it does happen. But what is your reaction to you when you come home and you find somebody like in the act cheating on you? You know, your spouse cheating on you in the fucking act, not just finding out about it later.
You know, my very first reaction would be to take a picture. Yep.
Thanks for the evidence.
That would be it. That's what I would do. I'd just go click and turn around and leave. You'd never see me again. Anytime that you'd hear from me after that would be through my attorney. I would just cut you off cold turkey. Nothing. You'd be dead to me.
You're dead to me, kid. Yeah. You know, we've all had people that have cheated on us at some point in our lives. And it's just catching them in the act. There's been people that have got off of murder convictions for this. There have been legit cases where somebody's charged with murder, and then the jury's like, nah, bitch had it coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, isn't it in West Virginia, there's still, like, a legal defense? He needed killing.
Yeah. There's not guilty, not guilty by mental disease or defect, and he needed killing. I mean, essentially, it's a jury nullification tactic. You're not denying the fact that you did it. You're not denying the facts of the case. You're just trying to get the jury to say, yeah, I mean, by legal terms, he's guilty, but we're still going to find him not guilty because we agree with him.
Like, that dude needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's jury nullification, and it's not something you're legally allowed to do, but lawyers do it all the time. And I think, how would that fly in Mexico? Like, what's the legal system like down there for situations like that?
I'm not certain. I know for a fact that, and it is still like this today. I just don't know how extreme it is. But Mexico runs by the golden rule, and that is he who has the gold makes the rules. I got, I actually got arrested in Mexico. I actually went to a Mexican prison for a little bit because, it just happens sometimes, and I got out of that by bribing the judge and bribing the police, and it cost me about $600.
$600 US or 600 pesos?
No, it cost me $600 to go from the inside of a jail cell in front of a judge. I had to bribe. I had just to get the judge to listen to me. I had to pony up $600, and that was just to get the commandant or whatever, to put in the word. And then the judge saw me, and the judge looked at all the evidence. And to be honest with you, I didn't have to bribe the judge. The judge just looked at the facts. He's like, you got accused of stealing a car, and you have no car, and you have no money. There's nothing here that points to you actually stealing this car. So I got off easy on that one. But even if the judge would have looked at me and been like, you're stone cold guilty, I could have been like, how much money would it be to make me not guilty? And the judge would go, well, and then he'd fix a number to it. Down there's 3 different types of police that you'll encounter. Maybe this will be a little easier to describe it this way. Depending on the type of cop. Depends on the bribe you got to pay. If it's a municipal cop, gets stuck in town, you get a municipal cop off for about $20-$40, depending on what you're doing. State cop, you're going to be looking at somewhere in the 3 digits. And a federales, if you don't have a lot of money and they come talking to you, then you're pretty well fucked. I mean, federales know the value of a dollar, and that's it. But there is no legal system that I'm aware of.
Well, that's disheartening. I had two incidents when I was in China. One instance, we were in Tiananmen Square, just outside of the palace, and it's just throngs of people everywhere. And there's police officers standing around, but you can't really tell. So there's private security, there's police, and there's military, and they all wear the same exact uniform, but with different colors. And we were starting to pick up on that. And at one point, I have a soldier who's there in a police capacity just walk up behind me, and I'm looking for. I don't see him at first. I'm seeing everybody in front of me just freeze. And everyone's kind of looking at me, and I'm like, what? And I turn around, and he's almost as tall as I am, which was weird to begin with. But there's this soldier standing there with this, like, fuck you face on it. And I'm like, oh shit, what the hell did we do? You know, 'cause I'm not getting arrested in a foreign country, let alone China. And then just from the stone, like, soldier's glare, he looks down at my son and goes, "Hi, boy! Hi, boy!" And it was the funniest thing in the world. He just wanted to meet my son because my son had red hair. And it was an anomaly. People were literally coming up to us in Tiananmen Square trying to get pictures with my son because he had red hair. And they had just never seen anything like that. I mean, hell, at one point when we were at the Great Wall, people were taking pictures of me and my wife because they wanted to take pictures with the foreigners. It was Now, granted, I was cutting a promo for a professional wrestling show. Another story entirely. I'm not going to go into. But then there was another instance where we had to go to the bank for our do our currency exchange. So I had to take a stack of crisp. They had to be crisp, brand new $100 bills. That was the only thing they'd exchange, and I had to get $5,000 on me, which in China is a translated, it means fuck ton of money. So we had to go to the bank, and I went to leave, and there's this tiny, in stark contrast to the military guy, the security guard for the bank was this tiny little dude. If he was 5 foot, I'd be shocked. And he doesn't have a bulletproof vest on. He has a fucking flak jacket, like somebody in a World War II bomber would have wore, and he's swimming in it. And he's got this nightstick, which is almost as long as he is. And he just starts yelling at me in Mandarin. I have no fucking clue what he's saying. But he reaches that stick back like he's going to wallop me with it. And all I say is, "Motherfucker, you're going to need a bigger stick." And in hindsight, and from what my wife has told me, that was a dumb thing to say. She was probably right. But at that point, my guide heard, not this guy yelling at me, but heard me yell back, "Motherfucker, you're going to need more than that stick." And he comes over, gets between us, starts rattling something off to the guy, then turns around and tells me, "Go back to the hotel." I'm like, all right. So I just left. I left everybody there and went back to the hotel on my own with a stack of red money in my pocket. With Chinese yuan, because I had just done my exchange. So I had literally just an ungodly amount of script in my pocket, and went back and shoved it in the safe real quick, But I don't know what would have happened if I had gotten arrested in China, and I really don't want to think about it.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah, no thank you. I mean, I can't imagine what Mexican prison's like, but Chinese prison, no sir.
No, nope. Mexican prison is probably like daycare compared to that. No thanks, man. And,
they actually have hard labor over there.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Again, like I said, I can bribe anybody to do anything in Mexico. I don't know if it's like that in China.
Oh, bribes make the world go round. That's definitely the truth. But I think we've shared enough for this day. Anything you want to add before we call it quits for the day, Bucky?
Yeah, I can't think of anything, man. I hope that everybody has a prosperous 2021. Here we are on New Year's Day, and I hope that the seas of change blow you in the direction of happiness. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's saying, 2020 was so bad, 2021's going to be great. Guess what, folks? Nothing's changed just because the calendar changed. Hopefully it gets better before it stays worse. That being said, this has been the Social Liability Podcast. I am the Raz Grease with my co-host, the Buck Grundle. And we will see you each and every week. You can get us on the audio version of our podcast on Spotify, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Anchor, Google Podcast, Breaker, Apple Podcast, and Castbox. You can also watch the video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search for the Mount Moon Crew and give us a subscribe, a like, and everything else under the sun. That being said, folks, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great new year.